Marie, yeah, they said that this actually started at 6 p.m. when they received a 911 call. And officers say the caller claimed that he had just escaped from an alleged kidnapper. Now, what led up to that suspected kidnapping remains unclear at this time, but police say that that victim did give them a description of the suspect and his car. Now, police were able to locate the suspect here near Boulder Highway and Galleria and then attempted to pull him over for a traffic stop. Instead, officers say the suspect took off, crashed into another vehicle, then got out of the car with a gun. Now, police confirm shots were fired, although it remains unclear who shot first. The suspect was shot multiple times, according to investigators. They say no officers were injured. Now, Lieutenant John Plunkett with the Henderson Police Department admits the circumstances surrounding this case is odd, even for a seasoned officer.
Well, I can tell you, prior to coming to this position, I ran the unit that's currently investigating this incident, and not very frequently.
Now, as for that suspect, police say that he is currently being treated at the hospital. His exact condition unknown at this time. Let's talk about some of the road closures that are still going on. We're being told that right here off of Galleria, we're looking at closures off of Boulder and Broadmoor and Boulder and Sunset. You can even see just how far stretched this is. It's going to be closed down for quite some time this evening, but if you are going to be using this road for your morning commute, it should be clear by then. Now, this is an ongoing developing story, certainly an interesting one, so make sure you follow News 3 for the latest. Reporting live here in Henderson, Lauren Clark, News 3.
That's right, just 19 days left until Americans make their voices heard. And while many voters have already picked a candidate, I spoke with a local political analyst who says there are people out there who are still weighing their options. Dr. Sandra Cosgrove is president of the League of Women Voters of Nevada. Do you think there's still people out there who don't know who they're voting for at this point with what we're seeing, with these candidates?
Yes, because I'm hearing from them.
But with early voting starting this weekend and Election Day just over 2 weeks away, what could be keeping people from making up their mind?
But what I found with undecided voters is they get turned off by name calling and sniping and kind of the rhetoric that sometimes the partisan rhetoric that we have. They want to know concrete things that you will do.
Cosgrove says another reason is with so much going on in our nation, some people may have unplugged.
Things can be happening around you, but if it's not really in your psyche where you're not saying, I should focus on that, it's easy to kind of push it to the side and not pay attention.
On our News 3 Facebook page, we asked if any Valley residents were still undecided and why. The post received more than 700 comments. Most of them were people showing support for their candidate of choice, but some admitted they don't know who they're voting for yet. One viewer saying, not sure which one because I am not a one-issue voter. Cosgrove says there are some key points that candidates need to drive home in order to win over these undecided voters.
Because there's some pretty clear things that are impacting us all. The pandemic. Now we're all aware of this Supreme Court nominee and that this is maybe an irregular procedure and we're not sure, what does that mean for me?
Donald Trump Jr. rallied for support here at Civil Works in East Las Vegas just a few hours ago, part of the retooled Trump-Pence campaign in these remaining weeks. Now today, I spoke one-on-one with Donald Trump Jr. about the campaign's efforts to clinch the vote here in Nevada.
What's going on, Las Vegas?
Donald Trump Jr. receiving a warm welcome tonight in Las Vegas, just days after Sister Ivanka Trump and Vice President Mike Pence also rallied in the Valley.
But it's important for us to be here. I mean, honestly, the reality is we don't have the luxury of a mainstream media that will do our campaigning for us.
Your father, the president, tested positive for coronavirus less than 2 weeks ago. We're still seeing some positive cases. The Secretary of Labor's wife. Can you talk about whether it's safe for him to be campaigning so much right now, and is it safe for others as well?
It is. The reality is, as much of a big deal as the media made of it, I mean, he's a 74-year-old guy that, probably eats a little too much McDonald's, and he was out of that in 2 days. I think you can be responsible. You can be reasonable. Don't forget that anyone that was even remotely near him had to be tested every day before they see him.
This outdoor event in front of more than 100 supporters on the third day of the Supreme Court confirmation hearings for Amy Coney Barrett. During the hearings for Amy Coney Barrett, she has not given a definitive answer whether she would recuse herself if a contested election reaches the Supreme Court. What do you think she should do if that happens?
I think she should be on the Supreme Court. I mean, would Ruth Bader Ginsburg have recused herself if that happened to Obama because she was a left-wing activist prior to becoming a justice? That's what she did.
Trump Jr. also talked about the originally planned second presidential debate, now canceled after the president refused to participate virtually.
I want a face-to-face debate. You know, as you probably heard in my speech, I mean, the moderator of the second debate is a former Joe Biden intern.